All right, here we go. We are live. We're back in YouTube land. Got one viewer. Hello, welcome to the return live stream. Whoops, remove the. We're back. We're back to some capacity right now, with some content and ideas being cooked up right now. But I figured, as kind of an inaugural sort of return to form per se, figured a live stream would be fun on a Saturday night. So if you're not doing anything better than sitting around and wanting to listen to this guy yap for, I don't know, probably about an hour and a half, welcome aboard. And if you do have something better to do, I'm glad because I don't. Tonight's live stream is brought to you by Miller Lite. It's not actually brought to you by that. YouTube, don't at me. But this is what they call a fine Pilsner. So, cheers to the God, maker of heaven and earth, who gives us grain to make fine Pilsners like Miller Lite. Cheers. What's on the docket for tonight? I want to pull this up real quick for y'all. I'd like to talk about a lot because I feel like a lot has happened since. Oh, fine. Tonight, we're going to talk about quite a bit that has been going on in my life. And then, honestly, if you guys just want to crash the stream, pull up. You're welcome to. I will drop the invite link here in the chat. Where did it go? I haven't used this in so long. I don't remember how this works. I'm going to talk about something that happened recently, my departure from the church I called home for 5 years, how I crashed a Coptic Orthodox baptism, and my experience with the Coptic Orthodox Church for a little bit. Some good TV I'm watching, and some stuff I'm reading that I think is pretty cool. Going to talk about the desert life for whatever that's worth, and going to also talk about building some Gundam, maybe. Oh, here we go on the link. Man, it's been a hot minute since I used StreamYard, but here we go. Links in the chat. Hide this banner, and there we go. So it is now posted in the chat if you so wish to join. But let's, I guess, get started with things on the docket. The big thing that happened pretty much right at the beginning of this year, as we slowly make our way out of February into March. So, was it 2 months into the year? I left the church that I called home for 5.5 years. I was the young adult leader, I guess. I don't want to call myself a minister. I have no qualifications or credentials to be doing that. But I led the group for probably 2.5 years and was an attendee of the group for the 3 or so prior to that. I'm not going to divulge what happened, but some stuff hit the fan that had to do with the group. And I had to take kind of a hard and long look at both leadership in the church and myself. And I kind of realized that leadership could not, or probably was not, wise enough to have enough discernment and care as to who could serve at any time, including myself. Anybody could join without much vetting per se. Anyone could serve without much evaluation of their, I guess, spiritual health and walk. Because much of the telos of the space was very much volunteerism. And I took a long, hard look kind of in light of some of the stuff hitting the fan, and I realized that it was not necessarily wise or healthy for me to continue in the ministry, and probably not of the church as well. And so I left, and I guess I can speak kind of, or sound as if I'm speaking a little bit more candid about the whole situation. But still kind of reeling from that, to say the least. It's going to take probably a long time to get over that. And so I've been living per se in a desert per se, I suppose, with this, without a church to necessarily call a home, which is what I've always kind of done for a long time. And I've been kind of adrift. It's been really weird. It's been about, month and a half since I left. And so it's been interesting. I've been looking at some different places and trying to figure out, I guess, where to fit in again, and where to belong. And being in the corner and being a so-called metagelical doesn't always make that easy. But I've found that I guess above all else, and maybe if somebody wants to jump in and talk about this, I find that above all else, that a sense of community and belonging in a group in the church, I think, is probably the highest thing on the list of what to look for. And that, and in my eyes, kind of trumps some of the, finer issues of certain confessions and theology of sacraments, etc. I'm not a very good Baptist for a lot of reasons, as we've already seen on this stream. And one of those would be my own confessions. But, at this point, if I can just find a space in which, I can participate insofar as like, community, and it's welcoming and a good space, you know what, sign me up, I'm in. So that's kind of what I'm looking for right now. Yeah, church hunting, I guess, for lack of a better word, church hunting. So there's that. It's been an interesting journey. Done the Catholic thing. I've dabbled in the Mass, and I like the Mass. That's pretty cool. I went to what the church called themselves an evangelical Presbyterian church, and that felt very much like it was like a fusion buffet, which was really, really neat. It was very like big Eva, big church kind of vibes in the music and presentation, but then it was very much the Presbyterian, like downstream of Catholic liturgy, presentation of the sacraments, and then a very also very evangelical kind of message as well, or style of preaching. It was a very interesting kind of mix, and the building was very peculiar. They had a whole liturgy of the building, and that the architectural designs and touches all had some sort of symbolic meaning and weight to it. It was neat. Maybe I'll try and find the information about the church and share it later. I also tried the Orthodox Church. There's the Coptic Orthodox. Hello, welcome. We're talking about my Coptic Orthodox Church experience. But if you want to jump in, if anybody else wants to jump in, they're more than welcome to, and make this monologue a dialogue. Anyway, so I started going to I checked out the Orthodox Church. I knew that the Coptic Church existed in my area for a while. I'd driven by it during a service project once, probably a year or 2 years ago. And I was finally like, you know what? I'm in this like kind of hunting period. I might as well go check it out. Service started at like 8 o'clock. I got there early because that's what I do. And I wanted to be able to, interact with people in advance, maybe get some sort of, the bearing of my surroundings. The campus, let's see if I can just kind of draw it out. No, I won't try that. I'll talk. And if I come up with a drawing, I do it. It was this weird stretch along this road. So you have this larger multi-purpose center building. You have a tiny like church that looks almost like a Baptist church, very much like a big steeple, very plain on the outside kind of building. And then you have this gigantic, very, very Orthodox chapel under construction right next to that. And I didn't really know where it was being held. Obviously, it was not being held in the chapel under construction. But I was like, all right, here we go. So I drove by, and it looked like people were inside the really tiny building in the tiny church. And, I was probably half an hour early, 20 minutes early. And I figured that was where the service was going on. So I park and make my way up, and it's like all of the do I want to call it the pastoral staff? That's not the right word. The priests are all there and standing around. I kind of walked up to the door, and it was like these kind of glass doors. And they all just kind of looked at me. And there's some other people kind of standing in the foyer. And the father, the priest of the church, comes out, and he's like, yeah, there's like a baptism that's about to go on. Service is next door at the multi-purpose room, but building. But I guess if you really want, you can come into this baptism to see this baptism. And me being me, I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? So I walk in, and this lovely, lovely Egyptian family all just kind of like stares at me and looks at me coming in. They're all waiting because the bishop that day was supposed to be coming into town. The bishop of the diocese in the area was going to do this baptism at this space. This particular Sunday, he was also going to speak. So all of the surrounding Coptic Orthodox churches were all going to convene here at this one in my area for the service. And I just stood around and like very awkwardly just kind of waited along with these people I don't know, this family, as they wait for this infant baptism to proceed. I talked with a bunch of people. They were super duper friendly, despite my crashing this thing and being witness to something that was a very personal family matter. I got to watch the whole thing from a distance. I tried to stay out of it as much as I could. There was a point in which the baptism was taking place, the actual like sanctuary per se, and then the foyer. There's these large doors, and everybody's kind of like in a half circle watching the bishop perform the baptism. And one of the large doors had started to close. Keep in mind, we all had to take our shoes off when we entered, and so shoeless kind of vibe. The door starts closing and somebody takes my shoe and kicked it into the side of the door to try and stop it from getting blocked. And then everybody kind of looked at me and they were like, "Is that your shoe?" I was like, "Yeah, that's my shoe." So, and it didn't help. It didn't help. The door still closed, but my shoes got kicked around, kind of stood around with, people, fish out of water kind of deal. Baptism happened. Long story short, not really. I ended up being the guy to take the photo for everybody. All the family gathered in with the bishop and the priests. And I was the dopey white boy in there who was able to come and take the photo of everybody, so nobody was out of place in the picture. So that was how I crashed a Coptic Orthodox baptism. And then I went to the main service and I stuck it out. It was a long, long service. It started at about 8 and went to about 11 o'clock. That was a long day. I toughed it out. I kind of liked it. I understood the general vibes of the Orthodox thing. Have I been back since? No. Do I think I'll be able to endure another service like that? Probably not. I also absolutely do feel very like fish out of water there. I don't think it'd be very easy necessarily, as friendly and as welcoming as everybody is. I don't think it would be super easy to belong or fit into a very ethnically homogenous culture that is this Coptic Orthodox Church. It's very much rooted in its culture. It's very much rooted in a very particular tradition that is not my tradition. And it felt very much that kind of stranger in a strange land kind of deal. But it was neat. That was a really fun experience. I really enjoyed kind of what I got out of that. They've been super kind, and they're like, "I'll come back and check it out." And I just haven't, I don't know, I haven't reached out again properly to say like, I don't know, don't belong necessarily, or, looking for other spaces. But that was cool. That was really neat. So that was how I crashed a baptism at an Orthodox church. Don't have any photos of the trip per se. I wish I did, but because I took some photos like the building and the campus. It was neat. Oh, we have a visitor. Hello,
Henry, how are
hello.
you?
What's up? Hi, Ron. Welcome to the
Good.
show.
What's up? I just got done with some work and I made some homemade wine, and I'm like, okay, this is kicking in a little bit harder than I thought. So I'm like, I need to lay on. I see you have a libation as well.
I do.
So
Cheers.
cheers. So first off, good to see you.
Likewise. Well, good to hear from you, I guess. Your camera's
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Um, I'm all schlepped out. Otherwise, I'd turn on the camera. I'll tell you what. I'll show you something here. Listen. So this is you on on the screen.
Nice.
This is I'm painting my living room.
Okay. So
Yeah.
everything's like pushed up against the wall, like away
Oh
from the
yeah.
walls and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Here, wait. Here, there's more. Here's the screens of you,
Nice.
and I'm laying down, and I'm just a total schlep. So
Fair
I'm
enough.
gonna do the Tayo faceless thing.
That works. That works.
So
Well,
what's up? So I caught the little bit of the ortho talk. What's up with that?
oh yeah. I left my church for a lot of
Mm,
reasons. Stuff hit the
mm,
fan, some leadership concerns, and that was not an easy
mm.
decision by any means. I was there for 5.5 years. And so I've been just kind
Oh,
of adrift looking for a new space. And oh no, I lost Ron. Oh no, we lost him. I didn't kick him out. There we go. Matt says
I,
leave the
I apologize. I accidentally hit a button.
all good.
So you ways in the in your tenure at your church?
Yeah, I left. It was not an easy decision per se. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
it was needed, I think though, um, and it was a lot of talking with people about it, and kind of a long time coming, and some stuff that had gone down was not fun, quite heartbreaking and unfortunate. And I was like, you know what? I guess now it's now or never. Now is the time, I guess, to
Mhm.
depart. So
Are you okay?
yeah, it's nice, because part of, I guess, one of the blessings that I've had is that I have a lot of friends through that space, but the friendship and the connections go beyond the walls of the church and have
Good.
gone far beyond that.
Excellent.
So not a lot has changed per se, insofar as
Mhm.
um, seeing friends and keeping up with people. It's like
Mhm.
I don't know where to go for church now per se.
Okay, no, well, because I've left, I've left my church twice,
Mm,
and it's not easy or fun, and it's uprooted in the most fundamental ways of your heart. But
yeah,
what I found out is I've got a few friends, quite a few. We don't care. Like, if and those are real friends. I like
yeah.
that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it wasn't. I mean, it's been rough. It's been difficult, but, like, it hasn't been, like, completely world shattering. There's no, like, isolation
Mhm.
by any means, which is very sweet.
Mhm.
So that's been really nice, in the midst of this. But I am definitely going, like, solo in terms of finding a new space, and that's been an interesting kind of journey, recently.
So, are you ortho
No,
or
I'm
I
not ortho.
heard well, no, I kind of figured not, but I heard ortho in there.
Yeah, I went to the Coptic Orthodox Church for a
Okay.
service because I was like, "What the heck? Let's try it out."
Yeah,
I had a
yeah.
nice time. It was very interesting. Big culture shock. I crashed an infant baptism, as I just described,
Alright.
with this
Oh,
lovely family before the service. Like, I got there early. And,
okay.
that was nice. Everybody was super sweet. They were all like, "Come back, come check it out."
Alright.
Like, unfortunately, that's such a different, not unfortunately, it's such a different culture. It really does feel like a very different world being there, like, in terms of,
Mm,
the population, and, like, the diversity, or I guess the lack thereof. It's very ethnically homogenous. Like, it's very much fish out of water. Uh,
mm,
it's such a shift, in
mhm.
things there, that in terms of, like, meeting people and some of the other intentions I have with going to church, like, it's like, I don't think I can fit in here, it
Mhm.
might work for. I'm gonna make a joke. It might be easy for these characters and things like Dune or whatever to fit into
Huh.
this, strange land, but I don't think I can do that. I'm not.
You could be House of Atreides.
No, I do not need to be a Paul Atreides. That is not what I wanna be, because that means I'd
Oh,
also be
come
like
on,
T.E.
dude. We need
Lawrence.
a savior.
Mm-mm, mm-mm, I don't
No,
wanna be.
well, okay. All right. So you're not gonna be Paul Atreides. So who do you wanna be? Or what do you think you're being called to be?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm being called to be. It feel kind of adrift about that. Because, like, I've been completely. That's the other thing with, like, leaving the church, is like, in this. I guess it's a desert. I don't know if I want to call it that. Maybe that's a little extreme, but that's been what I've been
Transition.
describing it as. I've been, like, kind of stripped away of a lot that I kind of was. I don't know, not banking on, but part of my identity. A lot of what I took pride in and
Mhm,
comfort in was being this, like, the young adult guy and running that
mhm,
ministry. Now that's gone, and I don't really have, like, any legs to stand on in terms of, like, things to give to God, or,
mhm,
like, there's nothing now. It's not like, "Look at these things I can do." Now it's like, I got nothing. I'm here,
mm.
There's no attempt to hide behind merit now, like, at all,
How
and that's been
how
really
lo
weird.
how long were you the youth guy?
I was the young adult guy for, like, 2.5 years technically, but I'd been in
Yeah.
attendance of that space since I got there 5.5 years ago.
Oh, dude, are you serious? Oh, wow. Okay, the reason I can relate to this, I was the youth jail dude
Okay.
for oh, dude, like I'll go conservative 10 years, easy.
Yeah.
And when it stops, it's weird. And
Yeah.
okay. So, and how long ago was this transition? How many days, weeks, months ago?
Um, I think I officially I sent a letter as kind of like my resignation and announcement of leaving. I think that was about a month and a half ago now. So like pretty much
Oh man.
mid January.
Um, hmm. Okay, I'm trying to figure out. So, how are you?
I don't know. I some days I feel pretty all right, and work keeps you busy and distracted, and then
Mhm,
other days I'm like I don't know what to do. Quite lost, and
mhm,
I don't know. I guess like yeah, certain securities are gone for sure.
mhm,
My Mondays are now wide open in the evenings, and that's really weird. You know,
mhm. Right.
'cause and we never missed a day. The church might have had like holiday weeks or whatever where they would take a break from normal midweek service and stuff, but we never did. It was like I got nothing better to do on a Monday. We'll meet up here, and so like that's all gone. And you know, another thing that kind of came up was I did a lot of content prep. I created a lot of stuff. I read a lot of stuff, made a lot of
Mhm,
lessons. And so a lot of my own spiritual, like I think reading and like feeding, I
mhm.
guess, was done through that and through
Yeah,
autodidactic means.
yeah.
And like admittedly wasn't necessarily coming from like the service Sunday mornings because I've been going
Right.
actually, I guess to maybe see some sort of resolution of the story. I've been going to a mega Baptist church for like 2 weeks now. This will be my third if I go
Mhm,
tomorrow, Lord willing. But I was like, I'm enjoying it, and there's some other cool details I give about it too. But I was sitting there, and I was like, man, we're going through Proverbs, and there's some real call to reflection on this on the tongue. And then last week it was about right, do we have good influences and leaders and people we follow and take advice from, like really practical, worthwhile, reflective things. And I was like, this is great. And I was like, is this the norm? Have I just been without this for so long? And I think I have, and that was really weird.
huh.
Yeah,
So, okay.
there's a deficit in in leadership and stuff at my church, but it was my church and I stuck it out, and I just didn't realize how lacking some things were and how rough things were until I got out of it. It was really weird.
Okay. Looking back on it, for me, I was at my best when, or at least, I don't want to say I was at my best, but I found that I developed because of it.
Hmm.
Okay. That I am now forever changed in a good way.
Yeah.
And I think that's that. Okay. So just take that in your mind and brain that the change, it's like you've been there, dude. You've been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Um, do you want to do it again?
Do I want to do what again? Go through all that again, or do
No, 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 no. The good stuff. The good stuff.
as in like would I relive it, or would I just do it again but different in a different space?
Yeah. I mean, like what I mean by that is, I'll give an example. I did jail ministry with kids, loved it. That came to an end. I did some neighborhood. It wasn't like evangelism, like, do you want to know Jesus? It was really just getting to know people and ministering to them. And that was a couple of years. This was all with my church.
Yeah.
Then it got quiet, at least outreach ways, and then I just dove into prayer like a madman.
Okay.
And now, just by accident, one of my friends, she is a professor at uh, Ball State University. I'm going to dox myself here, because I don't care. But anyhow, and she's like, "Hey, Ron, do you want to start a prayer group?" She's got tenure, so they can't fire her.
Hmm.
And she's not flaky or weird or anything like that. But she's like, "You want to start a Bible study?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but let's always have church outside because they have like a large wooded area that they own." And she's like, "Yeah." So we're going to start it in March. And I feel like I'm getting back in the saddle again.
Okay.
And yeah, so and like I can what I'm so I'm like, yeah, I want to dust off all the stuff I've done before and kind of just go have fun, get on my bike and ride and see what happens. So I see that's my nature. So I guess I'm asking you, do you think it's your nature and would you like to do stuff like this more?
Yeah, I do. I miss it already. I was doing estuary for the last probably month and change before I
Mm-hmm.
left,
Okay.
and which was a long time coming. And because I really wanted to like pilot it with the people that were in the group, and that
Mm-hmm.
I think more than the lessons and more that we did, I hopefully, Lord willing, did a lot for the people that were there near the end. It was, we want to call it induced vulnerability or induced openness, but it really fast tracked some connections that I made with some of the guys that were part of the group that I still keep up with now to see they're okay and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and like estuary in like a local church setting, so different than the stuff that plays out on like PVK's channel because it's not a bunch of necessarily super heady, super intellectual, thinky talky people.
Dude, I'm
And it's
telling you.
so much okay, it's so much better than what Estuary does. Like the Friday morning live streams, nah, fam. Like Monday night young adult Estuary was really valuable. Just being able to see the concerns that like the people that I called friends and acquaintances
Mhm.
had, being able to sort stuff out with them. It always got
Right,
kind of like here's wisdom and suggestions in a way that I don't think the like live stream ones do and like people on
right,
here do. Like people are
right.
looking for guidance because there's a bunch of young adults like scratching their heads and stuff. It
Mhm.
was very sweet, and I really do hope that that was really worthwhile. And I would like to do that again. I'd like to. Well, it's actually like, and I can't turn some of this like ministerial. I don't want to call myself that. I have no credentials for that, but I
Oh,
can't
well,
turn
well,
that
no, no,
off.
no, 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 no. Don't you ever do that around me again.
All
I
right.
will flog you. So, because my ministry is a nature, not a credential.
Okay.
So, with
So
that,
I, with
okay,
that said,
yeah.
I can't turn that off. I saw one of the guys that I, you know, post leaving the church. I have
Mhm.
kept in touch with them, which has been very sweet. Nobody's been like, "How dare you?" Blah blah blah. It's been a lot of
Right,
like follow up
right,
and seeing them.
right.
Um, and I just kept up with him, and like he was telling me about what was going on in his life, and like instinctually, and I don't know if it was wise in the moment, but it was just like, well, this is what I'm reading, and like I don't know if this
Mhm.
is a help to like. I just went back into that kind of
Mhm.
here's things to consider. Here's a
Right,
spiritual lesson that I'm learning myself that maybe you can hear something from. This is what I
right.
think is valuable. Like that just kind of happened, and I hope that that wasn't imposing on
No, no,
him.
no. Wait, listen. Actually, and now this, and I am sorry to interrupt you a little bit, but I'm not
Oh well,
because
you're good.
um, really, don't ever second guess yourself. I'm gonna make it real short. Don't stop that because you're
Okay.
helping. Seriously, that's the only reason I'm helping. Interrupting.
Okay. So I talked about some of the Kierkegaard spiritual writings and stuff that I've been looking through, and some other stuff I've been listening to, and like that just kind of naturally came. And some of that was for my own sake. I haven't been able to like verbally process that because I'm not teaching per se,
Mhm.
and I'm not presenting that content to anybody. And so that was just nice the other night to do that.
Well,
And so I
that's
can't turn that off
yeah.
necessarily.
Well, and you think, all right, my opinion, and like you know me, so dude, you're not. It's not something to be turned off. It's who you are.
Yeah.
You don't have to turn it. Actually, I think it's wrong. It's wrong to turn it off. It's okay if if the candle burns out, like runs its course.
Yeah.
That's fine. But you don't turn it off. It is who you are, and actually you are a benefit to others. That's what we do. It's a body thing. It's like
Yeah.
I I feel my blood pressure rising, like Bruce Banner turning green. Like it's not about the podium. It's about
Yeah.
Matt. Matt, you're about to see another side of me. It's not drunk Ron. It's in the body. No, I'm going to stop being haha. But really, keep. I'd say keep in contact with these kids. And like, dude, you're friends. Minis. It's not ministry. It's friendship.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'm asking your opinion on something. I'm gonna make a statement. There is no discipleship in our world, but there is friendship.
I'm on board with that. I could talk about that all the
Okay.
time. That's good.
Okay.
No, that's really good.
Okay.
I Discipleship only exists like vertically. It doesn't exist horizontally. That's my take. So I'm all for that.
Okay. See, and I think, and I'm not against the word discipleship, but in our world, it just doesn't make sense.
Mm-mm.
But if you say, dude, like someone will see, will you be my spiritual father? I'm like, hell no. I'll be
Yeah,
your
exactly.
buddy. I'll be like, no, I'm an idiot. Follow me if I'm not an idiot. But in case I'm an idiot, tell me I'm an idiot. But
Yeah.
really, as I'm going, and what I will do is, anyhow, blah blah blah. I can keep going, but I'm glad you responded the way you did because it's your nature. Don't fight it, and because people need you,
Appreciate
dude.
that.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the world's crazy. Having
Yeah.
non-crazy people, that's valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sweet too, almost because I think I've had it a couple times since leaving and not having any kind of title or status, whether that's conscious and like an actual description or kind of self-imposed with these guys. It's almost easier to I don't want to say be myself, but you know, there's the dynamic is not necessarily changed, but it's easier just to do the friend thing now, knowing that I don't have any
Yeah.
other responsibilities, that I'm not representing the church in some way either, whether directly or indirectly, because I was doing the ministry. So that's nice.
Yeah, I think, like, I'll give an example. Well, like, I was there's a young adult at my church,
Hmm.
crazy hard life, getting straight A's and honor roll, and going to a pretty high end Christian school in Indiana,
Okay.
and I am friends with. She just turned 18. She's a young girl at our church. I've known her father and mother for a while. They're on drugs, and it was nothing but rough for her and all her siblings. And she's coming to God, and just fired up with in relationship with God, and her siblings are coming to Christ. And what I am is a very solid figure in her life. Very goofy, but very solid. I constantly tease her and all her family and just act an idiot. But when it when there's something serious to talk about, or just not like not dark serious, but let's say spirit, like woo spirit,
Mhm.
woo serious. You know, they'll be like, "Hey, Ron, you got a question? Can I ask you a question?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Yeah, blah 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 blah." And they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." And it's because I've built relationship with them. They feel comfortable with asking me questions, and because I've built relationship with them, I can give them honest answers pretty quick, and I so enjoy it. It's like
Yeah.
yeah. So that's why I'm saying that's what you're doing. And you don't have to have a piece of paper to tell you you can or can't.
It's true. I also don't want to go back to school to get that piece of paper. So
Oh no, no, and actually, what's funny is I actually value. I'm starting to really respect people because I'm like, "Hey, I can't do that.
yeah,
I'm but I think that's cool. So you want to go? What kind of paper you want to get?
I don't want to get a paper. Not really.
No, 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 no. But there's a reason and a purpose. I think behind your motivation. there's, it's is it to like hone your understanding, to be more effective, to be
Mm.
credentialed so that people can take you seriously. And I'm starting to respect all of these things.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I think right now, so it's been interesting. I've been doing more walks than I've ever done before. When Kierkegaard says that when Jesus says, look at the birds and the lilies of the field,
Hmm.
Kierkegaard would say that this is actually a practical thing too. Not only is it like an object lesson in the moment, but it's like go
Hmm.
outside, touch grass, essentially. And I've been doing a lot of going outside, and there's like a
Hmm.
spot. I've got like a pond. I'm not going to point to it.
Hmm.
It's not like you can see it on camera,
Right.
but it's over by the telephone poles and some all that stuff. It's sort of a ways away from the building. I'll go out there and I'll
Hmm.
sit. And it's been nice when it's cold in Florida to do
Hmm.
that. That's where I've been doing like some, I guess, silent solitude stuff. I
Hmm.
think I think more than anything right now, I think now that like the young adult role has been taken away, I got nothing to stand on in terms of merits and credentials. I want to know and to kind of live in the idea that there is a place at the table in the kingdom of heaven for me.
Hmm. Okay.
You know,
Now,
and
yeah,
I
yeah,
know that
yeah.
that's unconditional and doctrinal stuff kicks in, but I live a lot of the time of like proving that or trying to prove my space at the table.
Well, and this is going to sound odd coming from me, but I respect that a lot, quite a bit, to be honest with you, especially coming from you. Because if you do it, it reminds me of Paul of Tarshish learning so that in time it can be properly applied
Hmm.
and people can glean from it. It's not just a merit badge.
Yeah,
It's like it's more like, samurais had swords and I think having understanding of the word, especially, or word in, um, all right, I'll just stop there. There is a spiritual benefit.
hmm,
More, I think I'm starting to appreciate, such as denominations in and of themselves are not bad. I
yeah,
think there's a value and maybe wisdom in them. And then,
yeah,
oh, okay, I thought it was, well, I think for you going there, I trust you in what in your heart because there's going to be, I can see God. It's not just you doing it for you. It might be God drawing you.
yeah.
And okay, so it's not so much you lost a ministry, it's more like a door is closed and an opportunity for a new thing is opening up.
Maybe. I mean, just in terms of friendship sustained, yeah. Anything else, I don't know. I've
Mhm.
been kind of camping out. I guess I can tell my megachurch story. I guess that's been kind
Yeah,
of sweet the last couple weeks. So this is a church that I'm familiar with. It's a big one in the area. I used to go and pal around there with a girl I used to work in the ministry with in college in the Baptist Collegiate Ministry. We were co-leaders, and I crushed on her really hard for a time. So I just followed her around to her like young adult group
right.
and all that. um, so it's not my first time in that space by
Right.
any means. And part of my other intention for going there is to meet, people my age,
Yeah.
who knows, wife
How old
there or
are you?
not, whatever. There's that too.
How old
And
are you?
20,
20.
I'll be 25 in like 2 weeks.
All right. Oh, congratulations in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Uh, yeah. All right. So this would be a master's.
I'm not going back to school. I'm not going back to school.
Oh, I didn't
I
know
don't
what
want
it was. Oh, I
to.
did. I thought what would this be?
I'm just going to a new church. That's all.
Oh, well, I thought you were going to go for an education.
No, no. I said like I don't want that. Like credential, like the whole credentials talk. Like I don't want that. I don't necessarily want that piece of paper.
Right.
because I just don't want to
Okay.
put in the work again. I also like that's expensive as dirt as all hell. Like I don't want to do that
Yeah.
either.
Well,
Uh,
that's what this whole time I'm talking to you, I thought you
no,
said,
no.
oh, dude.
Sorry, Ron.
Um, oh my gosh.
I should have been more clear. I don't want the piece of paper. Uh,
Oh, no, no, that's fine.
that knowledge is a burden. You know, I've done enough teaching myself and reading it enough, and you go through enough, and it's like I
Mhm.
can't go back. Now I'm not ignorant of certain
Right.
spiritual disciplines or
Mhm.
things about the nature of the world. Like you can't go back, and that's a burden. And I don't. It's already enough.
No, no,
Um,
that well, I mean, I think everyone gets there eventually,
yeah.
or well, at least I'll just say I did. Okay, so I misunderstood you, and that's
Okay.
okay.
That's all right.
Um, no, 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 actually, that's on me. So, when you do you have an idea of the new church?
Do I have an idea of it? I mean, I'm getting a good feel of it. I went back, you know, just like, I'll just kind of sit around here, see how it was. The first week I was
Mhm.
there, I ended up reconnecting with a former attendee of the young adult group during this adult Sunday, like a young adult Sunday school there.
Right, right,
And I hadn't seen her in, gosh, a while. And
right,
she introduced me to a bunch of different people, which was very sweet. It was just a very like to think you'd meet somebody in like a big church and just run into them accidentally like that. In such a
right.
big church as that. And then the second week, I decided to reach out to some people that I knew were from my time in the ministry back in college,
Mhm.
who I knew were on staff and were attending there. I ended up reconnecting with them and running to some other people that I knew. And I was like, you know what? It could be very easy to camp out here and
Mhm.
find some sort of comfort and instruction. Like I like the preaching there pretty well.
Right,
And like the Sunday schools have enough in terms of community. Like I could probably stick around here for a while. And then I like
right.
ended up sitting next to this guy who ended up working with my dad for the last 15 years. And that was the craziest, like
Mm.
spooky woo kind of thing ever. I was
Right.
like, oh my gosh, small world. What the heck? Kind of
Mhm,
deal.
mhm.
So all of that last week was like, yeah, there's too much to ignore or to, not pay attention to and consider sticking around for.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I'm sure you are sympathetic to that of like,
oh,
are
yeah,
these
no.
are these signs, per
Oh,
se?
well, no, here's the thing, like, actually, I'll leave that between you and God. I'll just say statistical probability of that happening is pretty small.
Yeah,
So that's interesting. And really for the sign thing, that's between you and God and when he
sure.
decides to do that. But I do keep my eyes and ears open. And what I've found, and I heard this one preacher say it, and it was interesting. He goes, sometimes big churches are big because the people running it have big hearts. And I'm
I
like,
like that.
yeah. I'm like, and he goes, sometimes small churches are small because they have small hearts. I'm like, oh,
That's
that's
interesting.
yeah. You know, I I have a buddy who is a worship leader. Like he's been to Upper Room. He was upper like he's not a major figure. He's just uh he knows all the big people. He's not famous. He doesn't, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
And in the Indiana area, he went to do interview with one of the largest mega churches in Indiana. And he didn't get the job. He goes, but the interview was amazing. He goes, this guy was asking me, like, this is a mega church pastor
Yeah.
interviewing. He goes, what's your prayer life like? How's God? You know, how, and he goes, even if I don't get this job, I want to know this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's they're not all, and I'm not trying to hack Joel Olstein, but they're not all Joel Olstein. You
Sure.
know, I don't. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I got to shake hands and speak briefly with the pastor of this church, and he's sweet. And I know people on staff there, and I trust them and
Mhm.
who they are
Right.
too.
Hey,
So,
you're gonna wind up a youth minister there because
oh boy.
well, you dude, they're machines. It's or it's God will make a way for you.
Yeah.
So, would you mind if God did that?
I don't know. I don't know if I really want to teach high schoolers and then go teach a bunch of youth group kids who are the same age.
Well, I'm just asking. Like,
I don't know. I guess I if the opportunity came and whatever, I may or may not be open. I don't know. I don't necessarily.
okay, that's a fair answer. No, that's a fair answer because I'm asking you about something that's tomorrow, and
Yeah,
that's not reasonable.
and it's hard to. I've been trying to live in the today, which is not easy. That's been the hardest thing as I'll get out recently
Why is
to try
that?
to practice.
Why is
Like
it hard?
sometimes the present is really boring. That's one.
Is what?
Sometimes the present in the moment now is really boring at times, and it's like, wow,
Oh,
now what am I supposed to
okay.
do? I'm supposed to dwell in the moment, you know,
Right.
and
Can,
then
can I tell you a woo thing to do with it?
sure,
Okay, this is going to sound enter because this has happened to me. Enter into the boredom by faith
okay,
with him. It's just a moment. It's a season. It's not, um, if that's all you've got, you can say, God, this is all I've got. It's like having one piece. It's like having a little bit of oil and a little bit of flour left. Okay, this is all I got. I'm going to eat this and die, but I'm going to give it to you first. And I've seen him answer that prayer quite a bit because then you don't go through then it's not for nothing.
okay,
So I'll be honest, and I hate it. I really do hate it, but I think that's also sometimes where growth happens.
yeah, yeah. Living in the present's hard because then it's. I also have a really bad time of daydreaming, and that's probably not. That's really not helpful either,
Mhm.
like at all, because usually that just turns into identifying something that is lacking, right?
Mhm.
Which is then forward thinking, which is which a lack of identifying a lack of something means a lack of contentedness, which
Mhm.
ultimately is some sort of envy, right?
Mhm.
Or lust, if you want to use it in like maybe a more broad term for that. And like that's
Mhm.
just not wise either. Um, and like my mind just naturally does the daydreaming thing and thinking about the
Right.
future, and so that's just something to be slowly sanctified, refined, if we want to use that
Mhm.
language.
Right.
And that's not easy. That's been difficult as all get out.
You know, I I think okay, one, I know being thankful is always helpful.
Yeah,
Just take okay, and that keeps me out of trouble.
yeah,
And hmm, I don't know. I think just and then like attack the darkness. Like go be proactive in talking to your friends that you've had in the past. And
mhm,
like the people you hung out with, they nobody owns them. You're allowed to talk with them. You're allowed to
yeah,
contact people in the past. And like if you don't want to be by yourself in the moment, call some of them up.
true.
Just you're allowed to do at your house, even if you wanted what you did at church.
Yeah, that's fair. I know talk was
Yeah.
had after all this went down with my friend who was also running the ministry and left, and he was
Mhm.
like, we could carry on and do what we did there somewhere else. And I've been a little unsure about that because I don't want that to turn into like I don't want to say a cult per se, but that gets real like
No,
siphoning
well,
people away from this
no.
faith.
Well, here's the thing, and I am going to push back on that.
Okay.
No, and I'll tell you why. You purposely don't take them or pull them from their church because, like, let's say they meet on Wednesdays. You do your gig on a Tuesday or a Thursday or a Monday or a Friday. So you absolutely doesn't interfere with, so you're not pulling them.
Yeah.
And then cult is when you draw them to you and not Christ.
Okay.
So if you are not interfering with their home church functionality and you are drawing them to Christ, you are kosher.
Okay.
So you're allowed, you know. Now, if you start getting all the hot girls coming over to your place at 7 at night on church night, I'll be like, we will applaud you and go, cult leader, yay! Here's the Kool-Aid. I'll make the wine, but I don't see that happening. So that's why. But
Okay.
no. So here's the thing. So if it's not interfering with their spiritual life and it's
Yeah.
actually helping them, well, heck, dude, that's nothing but good.
All right. I like that framing. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but well, I've been around the block a little bit, and I've had to like I've the sad is I've met people who are cult leaders. I'm like, oh crap. I think I just met a cult leader. And I'm like, and if it's not cultish, I know what is healthy church life and what's not. Because anyhow, so here it is. If these are all my years of experience, it's like because my end game here is to legitimately encourage you to get up off your butt and just go do what you've been enjoying.
Okay.
Because that'd be cool. Because honestly, when the college thing starts, I'll be like, Henry, I ain't got squat. All I got is woo. I need something like substantive. I know, like I might stream you into them, but
Okay.
um, yeah. So seriously, like maybe this is an opportunity for you to do something more, or at least just continue it.
Okay. Yeah. We'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I like how this is going because I've been there. Like, and okay, so I always lead by my bad examples. Um, when I when my the youth ministry thing stopped. No, it stopped because the facility shut down. It was
Hmm.
nothing bad, but I really I don't know. I just I miss it, and
Yeah.
I didn't pursue it enough. So all I'm saying is, all right, this you had your time at this one place and now just keep do like Paul, like he kept doing the same thing over and over at different places. So you're allowed to do your gig wherever you're at. Paul was preaching and doing whatever, and yours, if it's estuary or what was it that you were doing?
I was doing it all, not all. I was doing a lot. I did a lot of
Well,
lessons, one.
uh-huh,
But then estuary, because I kind of got burned out on the lesson prep, which it just became a lot trying to do that every week. And then my friend was also doing it. And we were technically running Sunday mornings as well. We both were like, yeah, I gotta take a break. And I stepped back from a lot of the content stuff. And that's when I integrated estuary into it as a thing to kind of fill in like the calendar Monday nights for the young adult group. And that just like really people respond to that really well. Because it could have gone like absolutely horribly, nobody liked it, or it went really well and was very sweet to see that. And so I just
mhm,
moderated that, would run the describe the protocol, describe the history of the estuary, and get the ball rolling.
uh-huh.
Yo,
Yeah,
what up, Mr. President?
Foxman, what's up, yo?
So yeah, that was, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not quite ready to jump into anything by any means. It's not like I would like a little bit more time before I sign myself
Right.
up for something.
Oh, that's reasonable. No, I just I didn't want you to be hurt and not doing anything. I really don't know how bad this thing was.
I
'Cause
mean, I guess it wasn't. I mean, it's bad because it feels like a divorce, and it feels like a silent one because a lot of people have not reached out about it. Like it kind of just like nobody reached out. And it was really weird
that
afterwards.
sucks.
Yeah, it was really strange. I took somebody reached out and I took initiative to be like, hey, like I'm thinking about
Hmm.
you. I'm still around, But that was so
Hmm.
it's been weird. But yeah, it would have been very easy. I had a moment where I was like, I don't want to go back to church. I don't really want to do this anymore.
Right.
Um, I don't know where to
Right.
go, but I'll just stay home. And that didn't happen, you know, thank God. So, but we'll see. I still trying to figure out how comfortable and integrated I can be in this kind of this young adult Sunday school and with these people and see how much I can reconnect with them. So,
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I'm glad. It sounds like you're. I don't know. I've heard worse. Like you don't sound hurt. You don't sound angry, bitter.
no, I'm not. I'm not. I am just still kind of like, I don't know, disconnected for sure and just kind of in that transitory space. But I don't have any
Mhm.
ill will
Right.
or anything like that by any means. I think I wanted
Okay.
some better closure. I thought people would reach out. That never happened. I was kind of
Well,
disappointed by that, but
here's the weird thing about church is like you can leave and some people won't even know you're gone, and it's not because they don't like you. It's just people aren't that observant,
yeah.
and
No, yeah,
the flow of church is such people could be missing for a while before they're missed. They don't even know they're MIA.
it's true.
So I would suggest for those that you really liked, reach out to them.
I've done a little bit of that. I
Good.
have.
Do more. And
Okay.
it's yeah, especially the ones that you considered friends. Just go out of your way to keep the connection.
Mhm.
It's because I've done it myself and it's paid off.
Yeah.
So that's
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm seeing the fruits of kind of that exact same thing, staying in touch, but like
Mhm,
leaving the college ministry now. Like it's very full circle right now in some
mhm,
respects. It's been interesting. Like being at this big church with these people that I
mhm,
used to know and work with, you know, and it's not quite picking up where we left off by any means, but the
right,
connection's still there and the compassion
mhm,
and the want to kind of like invite and participate like is still present, and that's been very nice and encouraging. Um,
mhm.
and so like the net has been cast very wide in the last 5.5 years I've been here,
That's
in a
cool.
lot of different places. And so just to kind of
Mhm.
see, I don't see it say payoff per se,
Yeah,
but to
no,
see that,
yeah,
see people kind of come back into my life in an interesting
mhm,
way.
yeah,
You know, however it looks,
yeah,
and I don't really know what the full extent that'll be like or anything by any stretch.
right,
But just to see and reconnect with some of these people in the last like 2 weeks
yeah.
has been really cool.
Well, I'll tell you what, then the more I listen is like definitely contact the people from the old church, the
Mhm.
ones that you're cool with. Um what it is yeah, it's nice when people call you up, but sometimes they just don't know. And
Yeah.
just invest in them and it it can pay off. It can pay off pretty good. Um being alone is not what we're all supposed to be.
Mm-mm.
It No, it's not cool. So and it's you put a little effort into it and then you could be surprised at how the relationship just takes off. Or it gains momentum and then you when I split, I just made sure I called people every once in a while. I'm like, "Hey,
Mm.
you wanna go out to lunch?" They're like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." And then it just I've been doing that now with some this is when I left first time. We've been going out for Mexican every Thursday night for like, I mean, a long time, dude. It's religious. So just, it's like the TLC. Like you hang out with the people you hang out with and
Yeah.
just you make an effort to hang out with them and it's pretty cool. So, and you just do that in real life. Just,
Yeah.
it's touching grass with people.
Yes, and there needs to be a lot more of that
Yeah.
in the world.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go to a youth group and
Cool.
I might throw some prayers at you.
Yeah,
And
appreciate it.
yeah, dude, this is outstanding. You got to let me know when you're online, dude. That
I
way I
will.
can have. All right.
I
That's
will.
all right, dude. All
See you,
right.
Ron.
I'll see you later. All right. Bye bye.
Bye. All right, that was Ron Copperman for y'all, everybody. Uh, So I'm going to address this comment. If you're still in the chat, Mr. Skankenstein. Back when I was in youth group in my early days in the church, my first church, I was a part of our music director put together like a youth band group to do a couple like special music tracks during the Christmas season. And I was the only dude, in this group because none of the other dudes wanted to sing or could sing. So it was me and like 3 other girls. And every time we come up and do one of their little special music songs, I love this man to death. I love him so dearly. I will not say his name, but I love him so dearly. And I'm glad he's still at the church. So deacon of the church. He'd sit in the back and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, it's Henry's harem," and I would just stand there to be like, "What?" Man, that was embarrassing. Embarrassing. It happened at least twice. At least twice. So, I guess all this Riz and nowhere to channel the Riz. Just kidding. All right, let's see what else is on the agenda for topics tonight. Yeah, for real. Yeah, Henry's hair was a thing, and not really though. It was in the deacon's eyes. Every time I see him now too, he's like, "You know what you need, Henry? You need yourself a girlfriend." And I was like, "Yep, I'm trying. Thank you. Prayers appreciated." Anyway, so I talked about Crash the Baptism. We talked extensively with Ron about leaving the church. It was very sweet. It was very good to hear from Ron again and to be back and hear from him. So I want to talk about TV that I've watched recently, or do I want to talk about what I'm reading right now? I've got the stuff for the TV thing queued up, so I think maybe I'll do that. Been watching TV. I've been watching some shows, and there's been some good stuff. And I've been really impressed with the things I was viewing. I want to start with probably the first one. No, not that one. There we go. Can I do? Hey, there we go. Recently, I went through the first, I guess, and only season of Chainsaw Man, which is an anime for those of you who do not know. It's about this guy who gets murdered by the Yakuza, and he's got this little like devil chainsaw dog, and the little devil chainsaw dog is basically like, "I like the dream that you have for your life. I'm going to give you my heart." Can we hear about your tabletop RPG community? My TCG community? I could talk about that. Do you want to? Okay, Chainsaw Man is good. Go watch it. Go read it. Something. I won't talk about Chainsaw Man. Yeah, so I don't have a tabletop group per se, but I guess we did play a game the other night. Yeah, so the same. If we want to talk about keeping in touch with people in a community, I met and a lot of the people I became friends with in my church, we all also bonded together over card games, and so I've played like 3 or 4 different card games with them. I'll show my cards as examples. I've done this before, I think, but so whoops. So back in community college, I used to play a Star Wars card game called Star Wars Destiny. And I played that up until COVID hit. And I really liked that game. And then the same developers put out a game called Star Wars Unlimited about a year, 2 years ago now. And it really blew up with my friends. And they really love this game. They're far more into it than I am. So we used to play, still do, Sunday nights at a card shop. You have a leader. So this is my Princess Leia leader. This is like my friends were very sweet and bought me the really fancy Primo like leader card. The worst image possible because my camera is not 4K. You have a leader and you have a base, and your goal is to destroy the other person's base, and you have a 60 card deck. We've been playing this game for like a year and change now as a group. And then recently, we all played together Lord of the Rings, Fate of the Fellowship, which is a board game that came out, I think, beginning or mid-quarter last year. Oh, let me see if I can pull up an image of that game. We played that the other night, and that was really, really cool. It was a collaborative game, so everybody plays 2 different members of the Fellowship or other protagonists from the Lord of the Rings. You have this gigantic freaking game board, and your goal is to complete certain objectives. You have objective cards, and let's see if I can pull this up. I'll just do an image here. Can I do that? Yeah, just do that. Anyway, Fate of the Fellowship. You have goal cards, and the goal is to destroy the ring. But you do have an opponent going against you, and that opponent is actually just you essentially like playing the cards of the enemy. Like at the end of every like person's turn, the enemy has a chance to play a card. and that jacks you up. So this is part of the game board. You have a bunch of Nazgul that are constantly floating and flying around, tracking Frodo and Sam specifically. Um, and you have to collaborate with everybody else at the table to complete the objective and fight off the forces of Sauron. It's really, really cool. It's kind of complex to get set up, but once we got cooking, we got cooking. So Fate of the Fellowship was really fun. I'd like to play it again sometime. It's like an $80 game. My friend bought it for like half off on a Black Friday sale. So definitely worth the $40. And perhaps if you are, really looking for a game to play with friends, you know what? Full price. It's very competently made. The game pieces are high quality, really fun stuff. We played 2 games, one to really like flunk around with the test run and stuff and mess up. And then we played it a second time and we got really cooking and we still lost. We still like the Nazgul still like took out Frodo and Sam essentially. And we were like, well, how do we like re-strategize to like do the game and like really cook and stuff? Like we all really want to go back and reconvene and play together. So if we're not playing the Star Wars game, I guess we're playing Fate of the Fellowship, which is really cool. And then we also play One Piece card game. And I actually just went to a TCG show today and like sold some cards and bought some new ones to play the new VV leader for the game. This is the alt leader. Just got this today. One Piece card game is fun as well. So there's a lot of games that I play with my friends through the church and some people that we've met like outside of the church that come and hang out with us. That's been very sweet. Has it been, ministerial in some way? Not to make Ron mad by saying yes or no. Kind of. It's kind of like really brought some people together that I never thought I would hang out with. And it's been sweet. It's been cool. So yeah, tabletop, Fate of the Fellowship, card games. I think we want to try and play, what's that called? Munchkin again at some point. So I don't know. Was that a good answering of your question, Matt? Was that good? Is there anything else I need to bring up about these games? Dead air. I shouldn't have dead air. Anyway, yeah, those are fun. I used to play D&D back in community college, high school with a very dear friend who is now at seminary, and I miss playing that only with him. I really don't like D&D, only because I always had like bad player experiences. Um, and yeah, was never impressed kind of with the guys that played with me because like he always just wanted to like they always just wanted to like be murder hobos and seduce the dragon because that was when D&D started. That was great, thank you. The people I played D&D with in high school, community college, just like it was right when like Stranger Things hit and like D&D became a part of the cultural zeitgeist. So then you have all these like Vine, if you remember it, Vine influencers and people on YouTube. And that's when Critical Role got big. So everybody just wanted to do the Critical Role thing. And like, it just sucked. I just wanted everybody to be like Arthurian knights and save princesses and be heroic. And they just wanted to murder people and be jerks. And I hated that. And then they wanted to homebrew stuff. And I didn't know the mechanics well enough. And they'd be like, oh, my guy has a gun and he's like an assassin from Assassin's Creed, but he's also like the best character. And I was like, bro, like, for the love of God, just be a knight. Stop being mean. I just wanted to like have a cool story. I liked the world building of D&D and doing my own like world and stuff better than I ever liked playing it. They're not immediately accessible, but I drew maps. I have maps of my world like that I made. And I have some drawings of characters that I thought were like key players in my world. Maybe if we go to commercial break, I'll do that. Commercial break. If anybody's really, really itching to see some of the stuff, I'll go pull it out, pull the little like interstitial cards on and stuff. But yeah, that was my tabletop RPG days. Do I want to talk about Chainsaw Man still? I don't know. I'll pull it up for a minute. Unless somebody else wants to hop in the chat and chat it out. And then I'll talk about the other TV show I'm watching. So Chainsaw Man is essentially about like the male loneliness crisis. This kid gets this chainsaw devil heart, and his kind of whole goal and motivation is just to score. Like actually, he gets hired on by this government program to hunt demons as a demon, and so he gets to live the good life. He gets an apartment, he gets fed, which is more than he had before. He lived in in poverty. before he became this like chainsaw devil. But he's like, yeah, I'm living the good life. Now I just need to like score, and then like my life will be complete. Thank you for having an itinerary. Thank you for letting me derail it. Of course, of course. I wouldn't be an educator if I couldn't like have an itinerary and then let it happen to be derailed. So anytime. So Chainsaw Man is thematically about the male loneliness crisis, whether or not you know, you want to admit it. It's really impressive. It's really interesting. This character has to figure out and identify and learn whether or not he still has like a human heart. As he's learning how to connect with people. He's essentially learning, if we want to use like the Lewisian language, he learns and is slowly learning the difference between like Eros and Venus. There's no fulfillment and satisfaction Venus alone as he's learning. And he's still learning like Storge, like familiarity and friendship. And then he's also eventually, hopefully, I don't know, going to learn Eros and what kind of real love and connection is. It's also like a super violent, bloody show. Like he turns into a chainsaw guy and like cuts people open with his chainsaw face. It looks cool. The like design, I really like the design. I bought a third party like Lego competitor brand figure, also not available immediately. And that's really neat because I thought the design was that cool. I don't know. I could probably have more thoughtful responses into this if I wrote it out. I'm not doing that right now. So Chainsaw Man's cool. The other show that I've been watching that I'd like to recommend, I guess, and just describe how impressed I am with it, for the most part, is A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. This is a spinoff. Does he ever say "Hail the King, baby"? No, but he's got like the. No, he's not. He's not Duke Nukem. No, he's not Duke Nukem at all. He has the funniest line. I guess I'll say it. He's like fighting this monster. Okay, context. This other like demon lady's cat gets stolen, and he's, you know, a horn dog, and she's like, "If you save my cat for me, I'll let you touch my breast." And he's like, "Oh yes, this is exactly what I need. I need this. This is my goal." And so he does it. He goes and like kills the bat demon. He thinks he gets what he wants, but then another demon shows up, and his line that I still think is the funniest line is "I've been patient this whole time and I still haven't copped a damn feel." And then he crashes out and like murders this other demon. Is he good or bad? He's the protagonist. He is the man with the chainsaw face. He is the good guy, I guess. He is a demon killing other demons. And demons are created based on like the fears of people. And the greater the kind of public fear of like a thing, the stronger the demon associated with it is. So like people aren't afraid of coffee. So if a coffee demon existed, the coffee demon isn't very strong. But like the chainsaw demon is pretty powerful. He's quite a menace. He's quite vicious. And then there's this gun devil. And then the gun devil, he's like the big guy that the one guy needs revenge on. The chainsaw man has to take out. And he's like super duper powerful because, you know, people are scared of guns because guns kill people. No response. So that's part of the goal is they have to take out the gun devil. So yeah, he's the protagonist. I hope this guy gets a happy ending. I hope he learns what love is like and how to Heights demon. There's no Heights demon. You get to see the Heights demon. There was the gun devil who didn't show up. There's the sword devil who shows up, and he's got a really cool design. That was really cool to see. He like pulls his hand off to demon of public speaking. There's no demon of public speaking that I've seen. Yeah, there hasn't actually been a whole lot of demons to show up. Some of this has got big slice of life vibes. For sure. There was a demon of time, like the time demon, and that trapped like the group that was hunting him in this hotel room for like 3 days straight, and they lost all sense of time. Like it froze on them, and they were like, "You have to sacrifice the chainsaw or kill the chainsaw man, and then I'll free you." And everybody like freaked out, Lord of the Flies style, ready to sacrifice him. That was like mid-season. It was like the mid-season arc. That was kind of cool. Definitely a demon of public nudity. Good Lord, I hope not to see that one. I don't want to see that one. I gave you 2 great slice of life fears. Yeah, heights and public speaking. Real talk, I think if I were to write anything, I think I would write a slice of life thing. And I've got some slice of life stories in my like belt. I got one slice of life story published back in community college. I wonder if I have that still. They got published in our magazine before COVID hit. Are chainsaws illegal in Japan? I don't think so. They talk all about how guns are illegal in Japan in Chainsaw Man, because that's the whole thing. Like the Yakuza get a bunch of guns from the gun devil. And that's a whole thing. Which is interesting because like guns and all of these things also like completely break any power scale or like rules to the thing. Like you just bring a gun to like a super anime power fight, like what are you gonna do? You're gonna stop them in their tracks. So that's Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is cool. There's a movie that I've yet to see that was very well received, apparently, that I've yet to view. The other thing I want to talk about was HBO Max's A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. This is a spinoff of Game of Thrones. And I've never seen Game of Thrones. I've avoided it like the plague because I know what the content is in terms of just like what it is, as explicit as it is. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know, that's not my thing. And obviously it ended very poorly from what I understand after 8 seasons of commitment to that all, I think, got dashed away. But an ad came up for this, and for whatever reason, with my roommate, I felt compelled to check it out because it felt very different in tone based on the trailer. And what I got so far, there's 1 episode left, is a very archetypal underdog story that almost feels like a response to a lot of that cynicism and super dark tones and lack of honor and chivalry that seemingly, from what I understand, was very absent in the Game of Thrones. Really good stuff. It's about this hedge knight. He's this servant to this drunk vagabond knight. His master, his knight, dies, and he essentially like knights himself so he can become some sort of chivalrous knight in the kingdom. And so he's banking on his like drunk vagabond, mystery nobody, basically father figure's title to get him into this jousting tournament in the kingdom. And he ends up befriending this boy who comes like unintentionally his squire. So you have this very sweet like brotherly vibe, older brother, younger brother vibe, found family thing going on. And you've got the like underdog in the midst of all these awful, awful lords and like people in this Game of Thrones world that I don't know anything about. Really good, really, really good stuff. I was very impressed. And so far, the like emotional catharsis has hit. There's not been any stupid subversions that made me mad. There was a moment where I thought he was going to die and I was going to be so mad. So mad if they killed him and they didn't. I'm very glad. But yeah, I've been really enjoying this. In terms of like content, in terms of like warnings and stuff, I've yet to have to see any like super explicit stuff, which is nice. Language is still a thing, super violent. But a lot of the concerns that I know that Game of Thrones, like, it's got nudity all over the place. Aren't you a cool dude, bro? Watch this night thing that's all about basically softcore porn. You're like, I don't have to deal with that. That's very nice in the show. Appreciate that. Also, it's just good writing. An acquaintance of mine drew the Hedge Knight comic in the 2000s. Oh, shoot. That's cool. Selling the pages. Nice, Christian. That's super cool. That's awesome. I was at a bookstore and I saw that like this character, Duncan the Tall, was in like a Game of Thrones comic. And I know that this guy exists in the lore, I guess, but I don't really care about the lore for this, honestly. But yeah, I was super impressed with this show. I've really, really enjoyed it. It's that very much like very archetypal, also very modern fantasy in terms of some of its sensibilities and stuff. Like I liked it. It was good. Worth a watch if you have the subscription. If you don't, I don't know. Maybe not. So yeah, those are the things I've watched. Those are my recommendations, I suppose, for things that I have been viewing recently. Let's see. What do we want to do now? We've talked about what I've been watching. I talked about crashing the Orthodox Church. I had a lengthy conversation about leaving the church. Actually talked about desert life. I guess the desert life's not been so desert-y as much as I think, as much as my anxious mind likes to dramatize things. So that's all right. What I'm reading, I've been building Gundam. I'm going to talk about Gundam. So I have an image of a Gundam I can pull up. No, I have them right at my desk, so I can show you that way. It was Valentine's Day. It was the day before Valentine's Day, and I was wandering around Barnes & Noble. And at the time I was using some of those stupid like dating apps. And I was like, if I don't, and I had like, I was talking to people on these chats, which nothing came up, by the way. But I was thinking like, you know what? If I don't get a date, on Valentine's Day or have nothing to do, I'm just going to build a Gundam. I'm going to learn how to build a Gundam. I'm going to get the clippers. I'm going to get the little like tools and stuff for it. I'm going to make a robot. If I don't get a date, lo and behold, I didn't get a date. So I bought a Gundam instead to build by myself that morning. And you know what? I hit like a flow state kind of. You really should not be multitasking or task switching building a Gundam. No music, nothing you're listening to. You need the instructions, get your little trays of plastic to cut out the guy's parts, follow the instructions closely. Like, man, like I was really in the groove. I lost track of time. And I built this guy. I don't have a stand for him properly. So he's currently just standing up on his own. This is the Gundam, I think Atlas from, I guess it's called Gundam Thunderbolt. He's cool. He's got these big, like, they hold his guns, but then also they're technically skis. You can like move these onto his feet. You can like fly around. I'm not going to try and do that necessarily right now, but super cool. Super tiny stickers. You can't see because my camera's not great up close. It's fine, this way, but no zooming in. I have a little marker to do like line work and detailing on the plastic parts to give some more like oomph and pop to the plastic. This is really fun. This is a really cool thing. And since I've been kind of out of the Lego hobby and not buying anything from Lego and engaging with that and that kind of side of my brain and creativity, like doing this and the utmost concentration that was necessary, that was really great. And like, it's a relatively inexpensive hobby to get into. 20 to 30 bucks for a robot, couple hours worth of work on these, especially if you're looking to do some of the more customization and like the drawing and stuff that I was doing. Definitely worth it. Super cool. It was so much fun that I ended up getting a second one, and I built that one like the next day. This is the what's it called? I have it on the box. This is the Sandrock Custom. This guy's awesome. Again, you can't really see him, but I love this guy. I like him way better than the other one, the first one I built. And I'm currently working on a third one right now. My friend gave me 2 of them from his personal collection he never built. He's like, this is what happens. You just build it. You collect a bunch of these things, and then you never have time to build them. So I'm building a third one right now. Maybe pick up. There's another one at the store I want to get that's really, really cool looking. It's a really good way to spend some like downtime. I really have been enjoying this. So in the desert, there has been Gundam and some good music, and can't complain, I guess. All things considered, really shouldn't complain. Yeah. Oh, and then I bought this guy. I thought this was gonna be like a micro chibi one, and instead of just being like a figure. So yeah, building Gundam. If you want some sort of flow state or just to look to be like super silent and concentrated on like a project, and you just got the time, give this a shot. Give it a shot. It's not hard to get into. $7 for a pair of clippers, 20, 30 bucks for a figure. Start there. It's pretty neat. It's my Gundam recommendation, I guess. So yeah, there we go. Talked about that. I'm gonna post the link again, I guess, to jump into the chat. Perhaps banners. Do the thing with the thing. I have to update this little thing since my channel is not called Unfocused Faith Thoughts anymore. Invite guest. Can we recommend Gundam and hip hop? Gundam and hip hop would be pretty good. I probably wouldn't want hip hop that was had a bunch of vocals. Like if it was just instrumental, like I would be all for that. Because I tried to listen to listening to a sermon today as I was building this Gundam, and I really messed up on some instructions. And I was like, I'm not paying attention enough. Like I'm trying to pay attention to like what's being said in the sermon, and at the same time, I'm trying to like pay attention to what part I'm cutting out and putting into the figure. And I really bungled it. Like it, so it'd have to be very ambient background. I wouldn't. You can't be paying attention to lyrics as you're putting these little guys together. Can't be doing that. So, but you know what? I'm not opposed to the Gundam hip hop thing. I think that would work. Be pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. Let's see. No, I didn't mean to do that. Python crawling. What is Python crawling? Interesting. Please explain what Python crawling is, Matt. All right, let's see. Next thing on the agenda. All of it's so far away. What I've been reading. That's what I wanted to talk about. Falling out of or coming out of this like church hurt thing and moving away has been very like my motivation to read has been shot. And for a long time, I felt like I was just kind of like on survival mode and dealing with that. And so it's been hard to read anything, but I have been doing some reading. I read or reread The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller recently. I was inspired because I managed to grab this sick, cool looking figure. This is the like early Mezco Dark Knight Returns Batman. This guy's awesome. This guy's awesome. Total grail figure. Been looking at this figure for like years. Ran into it at a vintage toy store recently. Oh man, he's awesome. He's super cool. And Dark Knight Returns as like a story for me has lived in my kind of my imagination for a long, long time. The Batman Beyond technically has and co-ops some of that imagery for that show. Oh man, all my figures are being knocked over on the side over here. I'll just put that over. Done. Dark Knight Returns and its imagery obviously has defined much of the mainstream Western comic book industry, and its effects cannot not be seen. And whether you like the influence or take and stuff that has existed since that comic has come out, it's really good. Like in a vacuum on its own. It's kind of crazy that this is a DC title in the 80s at the time. It's so experimental. It feels so indie underground for the time because Miller's really doing exactly what Miller wants to do. All the imagery just has lived in my brain in some way for a long time. And returning to it, even just kind of removed from my own like personal perceptions, like I was very impressed with the storytelling of this story. Let me see if I can find like some panels that I really liked to share with you guys. And maybe talk about some of like the work that's being done kind of throughout this book. Oh, can I find the one that I can. All right, here we go. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of like comic talk. So get ready for this. At some point I should probably go make dinner, but I'm not hungry. Open this up. Okay. I don't want to do this. Yeah, we'll just put myself to the side. Okay, never mind. It doesn't look any better. This is like I really like lived on this page for a long time. It's the end of the first book. Batman has come out of retirement. The beast inside Bruce Wayne, this demon, this bat, this creature that he essentially made some sort of almost Faustian bargain with as a child, reawakens in him in response to the mutants and this crime wave in the summer in Gotham. And then at the same time, Harvey Dent, Two-Face, gets plastic surgery. Both sides of his face are restored, and he goes crazy and threatens to blow up the Gotham Towers. And he takes out this thing. Batman Returns. The Dark Knight Returns. There's some great pages that I'll look at as well. But this confrontation with Harvey is really, really good. And I think just this page alone solidifies in my mind the idea that Two-Face might actually be one of the best antagonists for Batman and of his rogues gallery. And the fact that we don't use him properly and that he's underutilized is baloney. Not that we can see this very well, unfortunately. Can I maximize it? All right, I'm just going to zoom in. You will not see my face. Pay attention to the middle bar. So this confrontation, he's like, Harvey, and then Harvey's like, go ahead, you've had your laugh. Everybody's had their laugh about me. But like, can't you see, like, I only see both sides. I only see the one side of my face. He sees himself as the monster. So if you're looking at the page, it really doesn't change the scale. Okay. You have running across in this middle page Yeah, Two Faces. But actually, I'll go to bat for that every day, and I have some other reasons for that as well. But look at this middle page. You see Harvey having his conversations, dialogue, and I don't have the book pulled up, and I read the dialogue if I could. Actually, give me a minute. I will. You got to do this right. Can't do it wrong. All right, you got to do this right. None of this me trying to look at a blurry kind of JPEG. I got the receipts. Welcome back to Explaining Comics with your host, Henry. All right. So the dialogue will start at like the top page. He says, Harvey, and then Two-Face goes, what are you so mad about bats? I've been a sport. You have to admit that I played along, and you took your joke about as far as it could go. And so now we're in the middle panels. We're running along the top line with Harvey's dialogue. He says, got the whole world to smile at me, got them all to keep their lunches down when they saw my face, saying I was cured, saying I was fixed. And the Batman says, the scars go too deep. And then Harvey says, take a look, have your laugh. I'm fixed all right. At least both sides match. And Bruce, in like the dialogue, he says, I close my eyes and listen. Not fooled by sight, I see him. So then he closes his eyes, and we see in this third panel what Bruce perceives of Harvey. And all he sees is the defaced Two-Face, the monster. And he says, have your laugh, Batman. Take a look. And then Harvey, and this is great. Miller's really good at these like really subtle facial cues and kind of shift in just movement from panel to panel to like the person's reaction. So he's like, he bows his head. He goes, take a look. And we have a great close-up of Batman. And he says, I see him. I see. And then he speaks. And right here in this page, he says, I see a reflection, Harvey. And right here, parallel to what Batman sees of Harvey as like a full monster in his mind, we see the bat, this demon, this monster that he essentially made this and had this encounter with as a child. And so next one, he says, I see a reflection. And that's really good. And then this page, this is really good too. What are they doing here? This is a really like close, intimate moment. Like Harvey is like, essentially like crying into like in the arms of Batman, these like former friends and stuff. And this is the last page of the first issue. And we see like the bat demon thing either flying into the room or flying out of it. This middle page right here, or these panels in the middle, do a wonderful, wonderful job of paralleling these two characters and visually confirming this idea of this reflection, and essentially giving a thesis saying that, you know, Bruce and Harvey are in so many cases probably very much the same person. And Harvey is merely a far more explicit reflection of the duality of Bruce and Batman, at least in this world, at least at how Miller is writing Batman in this. I was just really blown away with this panel layout and this work here. It was really impressive. This first issue, actually all of them really do, but the first two really work as standalone pieces, as like a issue 1 and 2. And this one, it was really stellar. A really good time reading this. So yeah, if the Joker is like the agent of chaos and Batman is order and they're opposites, Harvey is the actual reflection, and he is not utilized enough at all. There's a great fan film called Batman Broken Promises. And I might put it in the chat. That's a Harvey Dent Two-Face story. It's fully animated, super talented guy. And that one also, in my mind, justifies Two-Face as like the best Batman villain. I just don't. There we go. I got somebody in it. Like, and he's just so underutilized. And if people write him, it sucks. And it's not really the emphasis is not obviously, oh, he sees twos and everything. Like, all his crimes can be two related. So you're saying that Batman has two faces in a sense, which he's always challenged by, and Harvey reflects that in a dark way? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. If you're doing Batman right, I think that there's a case for Um, people are overly like, Bruce Wayne's the mask. Bruce Wayne's not a real character. But like Bruce Wayne is still a person within Batman. And there should be, I think, in some way, at least for a time, a tension and a duality kind of in what Bruce Wayne is doing and who Bruce Wayne is, and then who Batman is, and what he's doing in his mission, right? And there's going to be that tension, this tension between this vengeance and this creature of the night and this force to be reckoned with and the spirit of vengeance in Batman. And at the same time, you have deep down this hurt, lost kid at the core still, who is simply like crying out for justice and has the opportunity and ability to create some sort of change with the wealth and finances in the family that he was born into. Yeah, Bruce isn't the same as Clark, not a mask. Yeah, and so when people say like, "Oh, Bruce Wayne's a mask," like, no, he's not. He's not. And I think it's dumb to say that, because then it also, because I also don't necessarily like, in comics of the 90s did it. Batman the Animated Series does a pretty good job, actually, of making Bruce Wayne a responsible member of the company and billionaire. Interesting that Harvey's duality is cold and impartial, not vengeance. Yeah, it's this kind of, yeah, good stuff. So like Batman's, on the other hand, is like either like vengeance for its own sake in that kind of sense of justice, versus I think more of like a hope charitable kind of thing, if we want to maybe use some of like what the Batman 2022 was trying to do, in some way. So are you going to live as this symbol of inspiration and encouragement and hope for the city, or are you going to serve as merely this kind of agent of violence and vengeance for the people? Versus Harvey being, all about impartiality, as cruel as it may be, versus kind of some sort of ordered, confined kind of sense of justice. Yeah, the lawyer bit, order is pure social construct. Yeah, versus the idea of fate and leaving things up to that in Harvey, or that the choice that he makes is the fate. And so you either have the pure violent kind of ill choices outside of the social construct, or you have the lawyery social construct, what is right. And then that doesn't matter though, unless it's decided by fate itself, and there's no actual agency in that. Harvey's actually a very nihilistic, I guess, character and premise. And so maybe you could do the philosophy thing too. This everything is up to fate, everything is outside of my power, as this lack of control in Harvey, versus what I think Batman at its core in a lot of ways is an attempt to take all that control and take all that order and be able to be the arbiter of fate, to be able to have control of such a destiny and stuff in its own way, right? He has to, part of his mission is to prevent the tragedy that happened to him from ever happening again. That's part of the mission. That's the core of the mission. It's fulfilling a vow that he made as a child. There's a control thing there versus Harvey's lack of. So you could do that. You could do that. We're cooking, chat. We're cooking right now, Skank. I don't know. Hire me, DC. Y'all aren't doing anything really interesting anyway. So Harvey loves his lack of control and Batman hates it. Yeah, I would say so. I think that's a really good way to look at that, because Harvey can't make a choice. He's part of the split. For looking at very early comic stuff, is like, I can't make a choice. Let the coin decide. Everything is determined by the coin. And then whatever consequences of the coin happen. Batman, however, and you see this post Dark Knight Returns, really. You see the very cunning and contingency plan heavy. If you look at like Morrison's Tower of Babel of the 90s, like Justice League, Batman has a contingency for everything. Scott Snyder's Batman is all about having different systems and things in place in the city to make sure that his mission works, that Batman's always in control, that Batman is Gotham, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, Batman hates a lack of control. And that's also why the Joker is such a threat and such a source of turmoil, and why Batman also has a struggle with I think killing him and taking him out, or at least confronting that, because Joker is blah 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 and chaos incarnate. If we really want to do the Heath Ledger thing, and Batman can't handle that. That goes against everything that he seeks to behold and maintain his own sense of control and the idea of like the social order of things. Joker breaks all those rules. He smashes all that stuff. And so while the Joker's really cool and stuff, like, think Harvey's a better exploration of that. You could better get Batman and Harvey Dent, Two-Face in a room. If you want, I guess if I wrote a comic, it would just be a bunch of philosophy. They just like talk at each other. It would just be the corner. They do thinky talky, and then maybe they punch each other right at the end or cry. I don't know. Which I don't think the conversations about the control and the lack of control can be had with the Joker. I think that is a better thing for Harvey and Batman to have. Yeah, there we go. Batman stuff, guys. I don't ever get to talk about this stuff with people. I never do. Oh, I was gonna put that video in the fan film in the chat. Let me pull that up. This is so cool. Check it out if you got the time. Satan is a lawyer. I guess so. Can we do? Ooh. I'm gonna have it recorded here, but I'm gonna write it down. Oh. Batman's temptation in the wilderness, like essentially, and he's visited upon by Harvey Dent, Two-Face. I don't know how that would look. I don't know what that kind of like temptation is, but oh man, that would be really cool. I don't know how you would do that, but that would be interesting. I don't know how you do that. There's something there though. I'm gonna write it down. We're gonna jot this down. Am I cooking? What do you guys think? Well, if Satan is a lawyer, and the lawyer thing is a pure social construct, that makes Daredevil even more fascinating and interesting as a character that I already really love. Because Daredevil, of course, Matt Murdock, we're cooking. Chat, we're cooking. Somebody needs to accidentally find just this portion of the video. Maybe we'll clip the hell out of this thing and be like, guys, check this stuff out. Anyway, so I gotta write this Batman's Temptation in the Wilderness. But like, if a lawyer is Satan, you should lean into being comics and manga culture guy. Give TLC people what they aren't getting on other channels. Remind me also to maybe put another thing in the chat. There's a guy that I used to follow who used to do exactly what I'm doing right now that I loved. I loved the heck out of. Daredevil as defense lawyer versus Harvey as prosecutor, which is the satanic role. Yay, you're cooking. Oh, man. Maybe I will just be the comics mange guy. That's all I want to talk about. So, but like also Daredevil being a lawyer, even as a defense lawyer, because comic book Daredevil has and will take on clearly shady, sketchy cases as a defense lawyer in which he knows that they're in the wrong. You see that even in the Netflix show and in when he defends the Punisher. And obviously that case goes to fail. But also in the first season, he goes and defends a client that Fisk's and Wesley goes out and like has him defend for like a big check. And then obviously Matt goes out as Daredevil to beat the snot out of him and do his own sense of justice. But those two levels, right? This Satan role as a lawyer, even if it's a defense lawyer, because we can maybe even say that that's not necessarily the best defense. And if we want to say the defense lawyer is like the good lawyer, the not Satan lawyer, that's the angelic, that's the holy side of him. And then Matt's like vigilante stuff even is far more demonic and satanic, perhaps. Or if you say that all lawyers and all this social construct is in some way evil or ill, then Matt really has no nothing to stand on that is right, nothing to stand on. So when he pleads his case as to why he should enact violence because the Son of God did so as well and lives in that tension, then he really may have no legs to stand on, even as a lawyer, and seemingly doing some sort of good there. There's something there. Good stuff, Skank. Good stuff. Oh, man. This is some good stuff. Maybe I will just be that guy. Just give my takes and stuff. I had a whole so after the Batman 2022 came out with Robert Pattinson, I had a whole that's really good. Will not the judge of all the earth do right? There's a really good panel. Superman's villains couldn't even. Yeah, I like I don't. I like Superman a lot as a character, actually. I can't say I particularly care for any of his villains, and I think the best Superman villain story that I've read or viewed was Action Comics 7 something, 8 something. What's so funny about Truth, Justice, and the American Way, which is a direct response to the comic industries like what's the group called by DC, The Authority. It's a direct response to The Authority. And so you have the elite in this story, and they're very much the downstream of Image Comics. Might makes right. We can just kill people and do what we want. And Superman challenging that group and being Superman's power, Superman's whole like conflict really should be all about principles, ideals, in those situations. I think, again, I guess if I were to write comics, it would just be a lot of philosophy and talking about ideas in some sort of 16 panel grid, which is maybe why I like Tom King so much. But yeah, Superman's villains couldn't even. I love Superman, but I there's no Superman villain that I'm like, yeah, this is a great villain. Anyway, Batman 2022, the Robert Pattinson film. I came out of that movie with so many ideas. I thought that this like loner emo zoomer Batman, millennial Batman, like Bruce Wayne was such a cool take, and I had like a Harvey Dent story for that as well. And I had this idea that like the story that I would write, if I were to write the Batman 2, it would be all about this need for Bruce Wayne to become a responsible public persona. If the end of the Batman 2022 is about him learning how to be Hope, that's the end of the movie, right? You see him rescuing the people out of the thing. He does that great moment where like sets the flare on and leads people out of the stadium, bro. Tear shed moment. He learns how to be Hope at that point in the film. He also needs to learn how to do the same kind of work as Bruce Wayne, not as a mask, as a different identity in that tension. And so much of that movie in my mind would be about that, or comics that I would write would be different players, including Superman. I would have Clark Kent. I'd have Clark Kent have a conversation with Bruce Wayne as an interview off the record, talking about the work that Batman and Superman are doing. And then Superman or Clark Kent actively encourages this loner gamer emo Bruce Wayne to do some good with his company. And then they're friends or something. There's a conversation that I want to write at some point about those characters, with those characters. But then Harvey Dent was going to play a big role in that too. And if I were to do comics and stuff, I'd also just like have like reset continuity. I would just have Harvey Dent be Harvey Dent for like years. None of this like long Halloween, they become partners for like 2 weeks or for like a year, and then like stuff hits the fan. I'd be like, they're working together. You do some of the Two-Face tension conflict stuff before he even becomes Two-Face. And then you do it and it makes you really sad. Breaks your heart. I did love the Bruce and Clark discussion over horses in Dark Knight Returns. There's some great, yeah, that panel is really good. Let me see if I can find it. I'll pull it up for reference. One of the things that I found was, yeah, okay, that's an issue. We've always been criminals, Clark. That was really good. A lot of that dialogue, my takeaway from the Dark Knight Returns was essentially that, yeah, this stuff, and I think this is what happened, is like everybody lost the thing, the plot with this story. I think Miller is in some way communicating the danger of these characters, or the danger of these characters as anything more than the fantastical, by putting them in a more grounded setting, by really exploring these consequences. It is a scary thing to encounter a Batman. It is a scary thing for this character to be a person. Like, these are best left, dare I say, to the funny pages. These are best left to the Saturday morning cartoons. And if any serious consideration of these things being a part of culture or being a part of life, like, no, much of what we see as part of the arc for Robin, or maybe as that's running alongside of it, is just how much danger and trouble and violence that Batman willingly exposes these Robins to. And assuming, because like Dick Grayson has left and Jason Todd has died in this continuity, that much of the same treatment that Carrie Kelly gets as Robin here existed for them before. And perhaps such things like these stories should remain and should be meant to be purely fantastical. That's part of what I think is to be taken away from this story. Because there's a really good line. I still haven't pulled up the page, and I need to. With the horse conversation for people who are not Skank and Matt and I. I'm not gonna find it. I'm gonna just keep trying to talk. Shoot. Oh, this is it. This is technically the page. I can't do that page. It's a WEBP file. Oh, I'm not gonna do it. It would just be easier for me to just show it on my book. Anyway, that's part of the conversation that comes up, or maybe later. And there's a Superman take in here that I really like as well. Remind me to bring up in a minute. They have their confrontation. Comics professor lurker friend here too. Oh, well, that's cool. Well, I hope that they have enough courage to at least drop something in the chat if they want to scrap it out in a good way. In a good way. I would love to yap about this because I'm still not hungry and I don't need to make dinner. And if I don't make dinner, I don't make dinner. Let's go to bed and go to church tomorrow. Where the heck is the the Superman conversation? Is it after? Is it after? Yes, it's here. It is. It's before he goes to Corto Maltese. This is the page. In the animated adaptation of this switch is all right. The eagle swoops down on Clark's arm, and it's the goofiest thing because it's not a great translation of Miller's art, but it works. But it looks so goofy in the scene of this like shredded, buff, like superhero toy Clark Kent with the it was so funny. It's such a funny like scene in that. But so Superman pulls up and does his like he does the 40s social justice thing to all the government. So like if you're looking at like old Fleischer Superman cartoons and stuff, Superman goes and actively like interferes in like the Japanese like armies and stuff. There's one where he's like taking out warships and stuff and doing some real crazy work. And Miller really I think does go back to that. It's very cynical. It's very much Reagan being like, oh, you know, Superman, we got to take care of those Russians. They're sore losers and bad players. We don't want their their communism hitting our country. We got to protect our assets, kind of deal, you know. But I think Miller at his core understands Superman in a lot of ways. And then here's the thing. I'm losing it. Bear with me, guys. He stops the nuke from being launched at the US. And he gets taken out, turns into like the skeleton because all of his he stops the bomb, blows up. Where's the page? Here it is. This is awesome. This is great. But this is wonderful. But the dialogue, here's my thing, and we need this Superman take on the pages, and I don't know how we haven't had this. This is awesome. Get ready. Let's see. There were birds here who she blessed with chest feathers absorbent enough to carry water for miles to their children. So like everything's blown up. Like Superman dropped this nuke in the desert, and because he's Superman, he could hear and knows about all the life there. It says bullfrogs who slept for years in dried out riverbeds, then dug their way to the surface when the rains came. Now there is only blackened glass, endless flame. Our people, Bruce, you laugh at them. They can do this and you laugh. They can split the very fabric of reality, blast 100,000 tons of sand into the sky, blotting out the source of all my power, the hope for screaming millions. Magnetic storm, you have every reason to be outraged, Mother Earth. You have given them everything. They are tiny and stupid and vicious, but please listen to them. Please, I am slow and dying. I need only reach the sun. Next page. This is awesome. This is really, really good. So he falls to earth and he hits the ground. He hits this like field and he says, I've always loved you. Though I was born a galaxy away, I've always served you. The same power, the sun's power fuels us both. You hold it here You store it. I beg you, for a suffering world, release it. Mother. He goes, mother, and he takes all the life, all the solar energy out of the plants. He takes all of it and it drains them and it brings vitality back to him. He says, you are so generous. You give me your beautiful jungle. I swear your adopted son will honor you. Oh my gosh. How we have not had, yeah, Matsy, how we've not had hippie, Mother Gaia, like super tied to the earth Superman like this before, as some like, patron of the earth, or like servant of like the mother god. Like, how have we not had this? How have we not done something with this in like mainstream work? This is brilliant. This is such a cool idea. Like, of course Superman would know about all of the, the intricacies of creation on earth. He would know of the birds and the flowers and the frogs and these things and be connected to them because of his sensitivity and his power. Like, oh man, where is hippie Superman? Oh wow, that would be so cool. That would be so cool. Miller. So like the other thing that people get out of this is like, ho, Zack Snyder specifically, would say like, well, Batman's really cool and like he kicks Superman's ass and like the Superman's like a chump. Zack Snyder's illiterate. But this Miller really understands Superman. It's Superman through Batman's eyes in a lot of ways. But those moments like that make me wish that Miller had written about Superman around this time. Not necessarily like Superman Year One with John Romita Jr. recently, but like Superman around this time during his like Elektra stuff that he was doing. I wish that happened. Patron of the Mother Earth like Superman is such a cool idea. Oh my God. I'm thinking of Matthew Pajot's Sun and Moon stuff with Batman and Superman. I don't know anything about that, Skank. You'll have to like clue me into that. Give me some fuel for this. You'd think Hollywood would key into that angle and get excited about Superman. He isn't just a Boy Scout. The problem is people are illiterate. And King David, the Moon King versus Samson, the Sun King. Man, cooking. To this point, the problem is with Hollywood only sees not what they want to see, but they only see what is prolific, and they only see what they think in kind of the icons and the images are most popular that the public as a whole do. And some of the subtler things and the nuance and the smaller details of something like A Dark Knight Returns are completely lost to them. It's completely lost to Zack Snyder because Zack Snyder thinks that Batman like shoots up and kills a bunch of people throughout this book, and he's wrong. He's dumb and he can't read the panels. Come at me, Zack Snyder, I guess. And so is Hollywood writers as a whole. I don't think they understand or pick up on these things, these nuances. And I don't think they read these comics. I think they see what they want to see and what they think is most marketable for kind of a blockbuster. So like hippie Superman has probably never crossed their mind. Morrison doesn't even do hippie Superman. Like All-Star Superman is great, but All-Star Superman really leans into that more like Greek mythology kind of deal. Like, I am a like unto the Greek gods and I'm super powerful. Here are my last acts of the earth. And I love that book, but he's not a hippie by any means. Like I need hippie Superman. I need hippie Superman. That'd be freaking awesome. Fuel for a future stream. Yeah, let me write that down. I just need to go and do like a takes. I need to write all my takes out and just like spew them out in a stream. So that'll happen at some point. Planet Narnia. What's Planet Narnia? Are you just talking about like the Narnia series or like Lewis's stuff, like Silent Planet and all that? Anyway, oops, dead air again. Yeah, so there's my hippie Superman. Freaking we need hippie Superman. I need him, crying out to Mother Earth. And you know what? Let's get I want Superman in like Henry's gonna go on that walk and get the deer to let him feed it by thinking hippie Superman. I'm gonna manifest, I'm gonna channel hippie Superman so that the animals can come to me. Yeah, I will do that. Oh man. Okay. Here we go. If we're talking about hippie Superman, so there was a Batman cartoon of the early 2000s called The Batman from 2004. And the Poison Ivy in that series is really cool. She's a contemporary in the same age as Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, and she's this like super liberationist, like blue pilled, like blue church activist girl, like a freshman, sophomore in college. And so her Poison Ivy schemes and stuff is like studying as like a botanist stuff is also tied to like early like PETA adjacent like activism and stuff. I'm gonna write this down too. Superman versus Poison Ivy, like hippie Superman versus super extremist pro like environmentalist Poison Ivy who believes that the only way to save the earth is the eradication of humanity. Like, can those two people meet? That would be so cool. Superman stands on the precipice of the meta divine realm. He's an agent whose power makes him nearly arenic. Yeah, good stuff. Oh man, hippie Superman would be so good. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the conversation and like the things between that and like a really extreme Poison Ivy? Like, oh, that'd be so cool. That would be so cool. Throw Batman in there. He can be there as well. He'd be like, I need you to back off. Blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah, I know that Superman does go against Poison Ivy and Batman Hush, but like Jeff Loeb doesn't do jack squat with that. It's just all that is just that Superman gets mind controlled by Poison Ivy so that Jeff Loeb can get Jim Lee to draw Superman and Batman punching each other in a sewer. That's all that's for. There's no cool thing there. There's no potential there per se. Firing on all cylinders. I'm freaking cooking right now. I need hippie Superman versus Poison Ivy for sure. Oh, I'm gonna throw this one out in the chat again at some point during a live stream. Man, all right. How else can we take this and stuff? Well, okay. So then, like every like Lex Luthor kind of corporate conflict is almost easier to do with a hippie Superman. Like a hippie Superman is like not only is Lex Luthor just doing shady deals and stuff, but like a hippie Superman is just going to hate everything Lex Luthor does regardless as some sort of corporate, like, what's the word? Corporate warmonger. Like, oh, you are just doing this thing? Like, I hate you by default. I don't like you just because like you haven't done anything yet, but I hate that you are like tearing down this, like this space so that you could put up these like, this tech field or whatever. So like Superman's own, like not only would Lex Luthor be obviously like evil Lex Luthor, like war, military, industrial complex guy, but any of his other projects, Superman would just be like, well, this sucks. I hate you. Like I've felt like the earth lose its life because of you. I've felt like part of that which you've destroyed. Like you've taken this away from me. You've taken this from these people. Like, frick you. Like he would just be so angry at him all the time. And that'd be interesting. It's more hippie Superman versus Wayne's tech pragmatic compromises the environment. Man, yeah, that's some. Oh man, oh that's awesome. That's really good too because now we're working with doing the Batman versus Superman conflict, and so not only do we have obviously the Batman idea of justice and how to handle crime versus Superman's handling of crime, but now you've also got like personal ethics and things that are less directly concerned with their mission and their like crime fighting. Bro, that's literary type stuff right there. Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. Oh, this is really good. Okay, so early 40s Superman, if you wanted to, is like very much like the social justice kind of guy, if we want to say that. He's doing like one of his earliest like that's what he's doing. These guys are doing some shady stuff. I'm just going to sort it by myself. These like undercover crime guys, I'm going to take care of it myself. So I'm gonna pause my thought. So one of the things Skanks is thinking of is that Superman is a hippie in the sense of caring for the earth in a solar aspect rather than a lunar aspect like Batman. Think of the moon as two faces. Okay, you guys would have to like really clarify and make some of this symbology more clear to me because I'm far behind on like the Matthew Peugeot, even Jonathan Peugeot stuff than you guys are. But I really like whatever this is. This sounds really awesome. Y'all, please clarify this, what it means to be like care for the earth in a solar versus lunar aspect, because I don't understand, but I really want to. So like if you were writing Superman, I would have Superman doing Okay, if you want like Bruce Wayne, if we want to do the whole we're all criminals Clark, make Clark also a criminal insofar as like Superman would not be allowed to be an agent of the US because Superman has like a track record in history of his own kind of like avalanche Final Fantasy VII, like I don't want to call it eco-terrorism, but have Superman doing his own things to disrupt kind of efforts to distort or harm or just change the environment. Like Superman went and, sabotaged this recent attempt by LexCorp to develop nuclear power plants in this little like region and stuff. Like, let Superman have his own maybe agent. I don't know. There's something there. You'd get canceled. It'd be like woke Superman, but that would be awesome. I think there'd be something really there. Moon reflects the light of goodness and justice, but is not justice or goodness itself. Okay. All right. Moon is also feminine. Ooh, okay. Oh, I get it. Okay, that makes sense. All right. All right. I'm picking up on what we're putting down here. Hippie Superman is the coolest. All right. So yeah. I'm in for this. I think there's potential. And then you can have Clark Kent be like unabashedly also like a hippie too. It's like I was born in, the Midwest and well, I just don't think it's right that we're clearing out all this land. This is farmland. This is the earth. And then, Lois Lane's like, what the heck, Clark? Like, get over it. Sign of the times. Moon engages with lunacy. Think of Batman's rogues galleries. All right, cool. Moon is the mirror that forces the king to see himself and be better. Ooh, okay. So Superman's the Sun King. It is accusatory, but could be the accusation that leads to repentance. Ooh. That's good. I like that. All right. Here, I don't know if I'm cooking in the right direction. So here's like a story idea. Hippie Superman is actively distorting and doing he's got his own agenda. He's not only like helping people or whatever, but he's got his own fuel against LexCorp and Wayne Tech and does things to sabotage these kind of projects. It's like, it doesn't care if it costs money. It doesn't care if we're delaying these projects. They're hurting the earth. I don't want this. And so Bruce Wayne's got a personal beef with what Superman's doing. And then like Batman, I guess, could have like a confrontation with Superman about like, you can't keep doing this. You are breaking the law. And if you're all about championing like, what is right and stuff, then technically you can't be doing this either. Like, so knock it the hell off or I'm going to like take you out type stuff. But it's like not necessarily for his like, it's not that he's an alien, he can't be trusted. It's that he's doing things that like are wrong too. And it's pissing him off. No, Batman is a dark reflection of Gotham. He is Gotham. He appears gritty because Gotham is gritty. Yeah. He reflects, right, that the reality of the situation, right, and he reflects the humanity that is in Gotham, and they need to see, because that'd be the thing, right? Metropolis is Metropolis because Superman is there, and Gotham is Gotham because Batman is there, and Superman can't fix the problems of Gotham because of the strong Batman Two-Face connection. Batman has to be a prosecutor, while Superman is a defense attorney. Yeah. Sheesh, good stuff. So what we're saying, like all of this is just basically like it would just be this really big Batman Superman story with Two-Face and Poison Ivy as villains and like Lex Luthor. That's what the story is. That's what's going to happen. That's what this sounds like. Superman is actually too earthly. Yeah, he is alien in his immanence, not his transcendence. Yeah, good stuff. Batman's more, if we want to talk about like Batman as like in this way, Batman's far more alien in his transcendence because contemporary Batman is all about becoming bigger than the city or being the city or being the thing that keeps the city in place. Batman's everywhere. He's in the shadows. Batman has these like networks and like channels and all these different bat caves to ensure that his mission never goes off and like never dies out. Like he's more transcendent than Superman is in that way. Might be a Chipotle night. Not making dinner at this hour. Good stuff. Cooking. Yeah. All right. There's some good stuff here. Try to think if I have any other like really strong takes that are worth bringing up now. Batman, like Daredevil, strives to be that superhuman avenging angel. Yeah. And they both have the same kind of moral code. And I think that I think that's interesting too, because I think despite Batman's, I guess we can call it like agnosticism to everything, they both have the same core ethic and like reason behind like the no kill rule and stuff. Daredevil has it for obvious, more Catholic, dignity of humanity reasons, right? As in the faith. And then Batman's is also just like this idea for redemption and value of life and humanity, right? But it probably comes from that more just kind of general sense. And so obviously those parallels are very clear. Is Daredevil a cross between Batman and Superman? Pretty good. No, I don't think Daredevil is a cross between Superman and Batman. Daredevil is not at all aspirational. I think Daredevil is only the moon. I think Daredevil is only the moon. And like most reads on Superman, unless we're doing hippie Superman, which I might do. Superman has no like conflict with himself insofar as like what does he do, like what he's doing is right or wrong. Daredevil is like a piece of garbage, honestly. He's a very like toxic person. He's very isolated. He's got mommy issues up the wazoo. He justifies his fighting crime as some sort of semblance of justice because he's angry and wants to hit something. And his whole defense attorney role and play is a cover and a salve and a like a what's the word, like a attempt at coming to grips with reality and what he really wants to do. Like he is Daredevil is closer to Two-Face in some way. Daredevil's a piece of garbage, young Henry 2020. It's true. It's true. He's like one of my favorite characters. It is. He's the worst friend. He's like the worst like partner in any of his like romances that he's in. He's the man without fear, and the man without fear will put himself into situations that will create so much pain for himself and then in turn for other people, right? The man without fear is always going to look for reasons and for ways to be afraid or to test like reality and its consequences. Wow, I didn't realize. Yeah, no, like there's a great moment in Miller's Daredevil, and I haven't reread it in a long time, but this former girlfriend of his that he's on again, off again, inherits her father's company, and Matt Murdock and all his controlling and I guess like 80s like way of being a guy essentially strips all of agency from her running the company, and takes away any control and like independence that she has. That's just she's completely dependent on him, and then he ends up sleeping with Black Widow, and then she runs in on that, like that happening. Like he's the worst, absolutely the worst. His best relationship is with Elektra, this assassin. And if we're looking at Miller's reimagining and rewriting of it, and then stuff that gets taken up with like the season to like like Netflix's adaptation, like she just feeds into all of his worst tendencies, and they're almost star-crossed lovers in a way. So is Matt Murdock kind of the worst aspects of Batman and Superman? I would say so. Yeah. Yeah. Daredevil, depending on who you're like looking at and who's writing or whatever as well, doesn't necessarily have a proper tether to humanity either that Superman does through being Clark Kent, and also just the nature of the power. Superman or Daredevil is usually a very wealthy defense attorney, like very, very wealthy, with his law firm. Like Netflix Daredevil is him being super broke and doing charity work. But mainstream Daredevil, he's like raking in millions upon millions for these certain like lawsuit cases and stuff that he's defending and things. So he doesn't have a proper, he's almost like Ivory Tower in this way and very self-righteous. He would be like a yuppie. And actually he gets brought up in, there's a cameo from Matt Murdock in Dark Knight Returns because Miller had just written him at the time. Like I don't think, yeah, Matt Murdock is really self-righteous, and Matt Murdock would virtue signal on X. He would virtue signal on X about how, you know, certain lawyers or other people need to like reform or get cleaned up, and then do the exact same thing that they do, and then also then go out and beat up people because he's got violent tendencies, and thinks that he's also like serving out justice that way as well. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but I love Matt Murdock, Daredevil, but he's He needs a lot of help. He needs a lot of grace. That's my Daredevil read, I guess. Maybe it's partly because, you know, I've been doing this for 2 hours and now I'm just really just riffing. Who knows? Got some Daredevil action figures over here. Got the Netflix Born Again like suit. This guy's pretty cool. Like him. And this is my favorite one. I got the Man Without Fear, like vigilante black suit. That one's cool. I want to get little figure stands for them so they can be in more dynamic poses than just standing on my shelf. Got my Superman figure. I hope I don't knock him over. Showing you guys this guy. But this is my Superman. Here's my sun token, or sun, like representative of the sun, doing his thing. And I've also got my Batman to go with him. The other Batman. I guess I have 2 Batman figures over here. Here we go. There we go. All right, we cooked. I've been doing this for 2.5 hours. I do not feel like I've been doing this for 2.5 hours, but I should probably get up and try and like appropriately unwind this evening and like debrief so that I can sleep well enough to go to church tomorrow. Any final comments, thoughts, concerns, criticisms that we have? This has been fun. This has been really great. I think, Matt, you're right about just becoming the TLC's like comics culture guy. I really just need to sit down and really, you know, cook some stuff out and write some stuff out. So thank you. I missed doing this. This was a lot of fun to be back in the saddle. I really do quite enjoy hosting these things and running this stuff. So thank you guys for coming out tonight. Maybe I'll try and clip some of this stuff and see how that goes. But it's enough of that tonight. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, the rest of this evening. Lord willing, we'll all be in church tomorrow. So this has been a really fun live stream with your boy, Henry, signing off. Let me pull the bumper up. Nope, do the thing.